Hello, guys. Thank you very much for joining this session. Hi, this is Ganesh Nayak. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And I also help students who are appearing for CFA and FRM to clear the exam in the first attempt. Now, this video is primarily a journey of one of the students. Basically, he is cleared FRM Level 1 in November 2021. Avishek is his name. And he's going to be sharing his experience, his challenges, his problems that he faced during the preparation, and how he managed to overcome that. And the purpose of these videos, which I'm making, is basically to help people understand how people are clearing the FRM exam. Okay, people who are preparing on their own or also watching videos, they need to get some guidance, and that is the reason we are doing this session. So first of all, thank you, Abhishek. Thank you very much for taking out time, and I really appreciate that. And from your tight schedule, you have been able to pick up some time. Thank you very much, and welcome to the session.
Thanks, Ganesh. Good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot
And for the
for
benefit
this
of
kind.
the, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and thanks for the generous introduction.
Thank you. So for the benefit of the audience, can you please give us a brief? What were you doing before the FRM, before starting the FRM?
Okay, so before I took up the course, I was just trying to make out like how this will help me in upskilling my career,
Hmm.
right? So from that perspective, I was simultaneously doing my CFA preparation as well.
Hmm.
So I have cleared my CFA level 2 as well, right? So then I thought, somewhere down the line, since my job entails serving a lot of HNI clients in terms of their investment management, right?
Hmm.
So from that perspective, CFA gives a perspective in terms of financial goal planning, wealth
Right.
management, and everything, but it does not cover the risk element of the client portfolios. While it covers, but then the depth of coverage
Yes.
is a little shallow if one
As
were to
compared to
compare with as
FRM.
compared to FRM.
Hmm.
Right. So, and what I've seen, even wealth management industry and the clients that we serve, right?
Hmm.
Even they have got, even they have got up the curve for the last 10 years, right? So it's
Okay.
not like that, even though there are concepts which are hardcore finance concepts, but there are certain savvy clients wherein, if you try to explain them, certain FRM concepts, they would be keen to listen to you and understand like what exactly is the risk in their portfolio. So
Okay.
this is completely, so this is something which is, very new in the wealth management domain. But yes,
Hmm.
going forward, I see it has huge scope in wealth management. Maybe 3, 4 years down the line, people would start looking at their portfolios not from the returns perspective, but overall from the risk perspective
This
as well.
perspective also. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you have how many years of work experience total till now?
Yeah, so I have total. So I just completed my 15 years of work experience post
Wonderful.
my MBA finance, and it's all into Indian equity capital markets. The first 6 years I have been into institutional equity research,
Hmm.
and after that, in the last 9 years, I'm more into wealth management on the product side, on the investment counseling side, and on the portfolio management side for
Perfect.
ultra
Perfect.
high net worth individual clients.
Perfect. So you had 15 years of experience. You also had CFA level 2 cleared. When did you clear your CFA level 2? Is it recently or long
Yeah,
sometime back?
Yeah, so CFA level 2, I appeared in November 2021 only. Results came in
Okay.
2 days
Oh,
back only.
wonderful.
But then, yes, but CFA level 1, I cleared 10 years back. So, I was just trying to, upskill, so from that perspective, I enrolled for CFA level 2 and FRM part 1 simultaneously.
Right.
So
You
from
must have
that
informed me,
perspective,
but I've forgotten regarding that CFA level 2 part. But
yeah.
wonderful. I mean, this is a very good, great achievement because not many people are able to go for the exam, both the exam together, especially CFA level 2 is very tough in terms of the
Yeah,
content.
the course content is huge, is humongous.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean,
yes.
yeah, it covers the entire gamut of everything, and more numerical based, more concept based, and so is FRM. Even FRM has a lot of topics. You
Mm-hmm.
know, level 1, sorry, part 1 FRM is also covers a whole lot of financial concepts. If one were to think, they will pass the examination by fluke or something of that sort, I don't think so. That is going to be uh, that is going to happen. I mean, it requires a very rigorous training, rigorous learning in the
Mm.
terms of going through the concepts. You cannot skip one single page right? While
Right.
while I preferred the self-paced mode of learning,
Hmm.
largely because of my work commitments,
Right. Right.
uh, personal commitments. I have two daughters, so so there are a lot of things which I need to manage on my own. So I preferred a self-paced thing. Although I
Hmm.
passed my FRM examination, but then I still think I am sort of few concepts in part one still. So
Okay.
even though I have passed, with a self-paced learning mode, I would still recommend anyone who is appearing for FRM, they should go for a full-fledged online or an offline learning module so that they understand the concepts
Right.
in its real nature, right? So
Yes.
it's very
Yes.
it's very important to understand the concept. Passing the examination is something different, and understanding the concepts in a wholesome manner, all the concepts in a wholesome manner, is something which is more important,
Right.
right?
And also,
So even,
it helps to reduce the learning curve because when you're preparing, you don't have
yeah,
time, right? So to go and search, you had some background, you had some experience. People who
yeah,
are new might not be able to pick up those things, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now, when did you started your preparation for FRM for November exam? Which month you
Yeah.
started?
So I won't be able to recall the exact date, but I categorically remember that I registered myself for FRM exam on the deadline date of FRM. So I was in two
Okay.
minds whether I should go for CFA and FRM both at one go. But then I thought of since it's a work from home scenario, so there is a little bit of flexibility in terms
Hmm.
of time management because you save a lot of time traveling. So
Hmm.
from that perspective, I took that call. So I think it would be somewhere around 4 to 5 months back, maybe in May 2021. I think that's the general cutoff, admission date deadline. So
31st
I
of
think,
July. For November, it has to be 31st of July.
yeah. So
I-
then I would have got, so then I would have enrolled on 31st of July or
Right.
30th
So,
of July at the max.
so primarily from August onwards, you started your proper preparation, right? So
Yeah,
how
August,
many
September.
hours? Sorry. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So from August onwards, I started my preparation. But point is that whenever you enroll for an examination, right, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen, you enroll for the examination, although you get your books the same day, right? But then to come
Huh.
into that momentum to study, it takes
Right.
2 to 3 weeks to settle in. And right. So from that perspective, I would say August was a complete washout month for me in terms of, absorbing the
Okay.
contents of the material, what all contents will be there, what all modules, and how should I plan my FRM curriculum, in terms of study and all, right? So
Okay.
I would say my serious study started from the month of September, right? But
Okay.
again, due to work commitments, those were like not very much well planned. So I
Mm-hmm.
used to spend most of my time studying during the weekends because Monday to Friday was getting very
Right.
hectic in terms of office.
Right.
But to put it in a cumulative manner, I think I would
Mm-hmm.
have studied 250 hours till the time of examination overall cumulatively.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this
250
is what
hours is
actually the
something.
institute also recommends, 250 to
Okay.
300 hours. So basically, did you dedicate a specific time, say for example, every day 2 hour for FRM, 2 hour for CFA, like that? Did that bifurcation?
Okay. Okay. So in my case, what I did was, see, because if I'm studying FRM, right? So point is that, if I've taken let's say a subject, financial markets and products, right? So if I've completed two chapters, right? Again, it could be a little subjective because every individual is different in its own case,
Right.
right? So it was very difficult for me, at least in my case, to complete one subject completely and then move on to the next subject. So I
Hmm.
have that habit of flipping between the subjects, be it CFA or FRM. So if I
Okay.
completed two chapters in, let's say, Foundations of Risk Management, then I will, quickly move on to the other subject in FRM. So that way, it keeps up your interest level lively, right? In terms of your learning capabilities. So
Right. Right.
there was a lot of which happened during, and there were like, if I remember it correctly, FRM has close to about 80 chapters, or is
60.
it about 60
60
chapters?
chapters.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 60 chapters. So if I remember it correctly, I think the toughest the toughest chapters, 15 to 20 chapters I would have completed. I would have started reading in the last 20 days of my FRM examination. So
Oh,
so so
okay.
that's how
Okay.
it is. But yes, having said that, I would say, a lot of practice is required,
Hmm.
right? So I
That's the
got
key.
in, yeah. So although I had my relationship with FinIntelligent towards the fag end of my examination just a week prior. So I
Uh,
enrolled myself only to the
hmm.
question bank portion
Section.
of
Yes, yes.
FinIntelligent. Yeah, but then I think it helped me a lot because the questions are designed in a manner, right, which will not take much of your time,
Hmm.
right? And you would be able to solve, because I think I was able to solve close to about 1200 to 1500 questions, even though I got enrolled myself, uh, you know, uh,
Very late.
one
I
week
know it
prior
was
to,
very late.
yeah,
Yes.
prior to 1 week. But then I think the questions are designed in a manner, which the module wise questions, because see,
Hmm.
if you solve for a mock test, right, it will have questions from all the chapters, right? So then
Yes.
there is
Yes.
a flip of mind, right? I mean, only few students can go for that mock test who have done their, first reading, second reading, or third reading much
Right.
before the examination date. In my
Right.
case, that was very difficult. So the only option which I was left out with is to go for a module based question, so that at least whichever chapters I have completed, I mastered those chapters, right? And the questions which were there are 360-degree questions. So
Hmm.
if you are solving the entire question pack of that module, then it is like one is completely through that module in a
Hmm.
very, so the concept should be very clear in that module. But yes, having said that, I would still recommend, if someone can take a call, 3 4 months prior to that, and get into a classroom mode of coaching,
Right.
because that will ultimately solve the purpose of your learning, right? Because
Right. Right. Right.
that will help you in building your concepts, which will take one move further in their career. Passing an exam is a different thing, but learning the
Hmm.
concepts and learning to the T is something which is very important. So I
Right.
would not recommend any student, or even if they are working, or even if they are a new student, only to go for a question bank, right? It is always preferable to go
Hmm.
for a online or a recorded session,
Package.
rather
That's
than,
correct.
and I'm sure, I mean, going by the question bank, while I have not attended any videos of an intelligence, right? But going by the question bank, the way it is designed, I'm sure the lecture delivery would be equally good. That's my
Right.
perception of
Sure.
an
Now,
intelligence.
Abhishek, the question which is there in my mind, and also the audience might think that, okay, when did you complete your entire full reading of the FRM curriculum? Because you also had CFA,
Okay.
right? So, but any date that you had decided or you completed by that time?
Okay. So 3 to 4 days prior to that, I completed my first reading. But when I say
Okay.
3 to 4 days prior to that, I completed my first reading. So, but then 1 month back, I was through with my 60% of the readings. So,
Okay.
so in the meanwhile, I revised whatever I have learned of that 60% of the readings in the month prior to my FRM examination. So there were, close to about 10 chapters which were left, for the last 10 15 days. So I covered those part also, those new
Hmm.
chapters in the last 10 to 15 days, question bank also, and revising the easier concepts which I completed, in the month of September or October.
Right. Right.
That's how,
So you had holiday for the last 12, 15 days so that you can focus
yeah.
on the exam?
Yeah, so I took 2 days, sorry, 2 weeks full holiday from my office, and
Hmm.
there was no disturbance. I completely dedicated my 15 days, even though CFA was 7 days after my FRM exam.
Hmm.
So FRM was 23rd of November and CFA was 30th of November. But since
Hmm.
the FRM exam was approaching, right? So I thought of, why not dedicate completely to FRM the last 15 days, and thereafter we'll take a call like how to calibrate the 7 days with CFA,
It's
right?
safe.
Because CFA, anyways, I was well prepared, and because of my job role, a large chunk of CFA portion gets covered in my, in my
Job
work
itself.
deliverables as well.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
it
Yes.
was a little easier for me to grasp the CFA concepts rather than the FRM concepts. So, last 15 days I have
Hmm.
completely dedicated to FRM. But yes, I would say in the last 15 days, I would have, I would have, dedicated close to about 10 to 12 hours,
Every
every
single day.
day.
Wow.
Yeah, every
Okay.
single day.
And so you solved around 12, 1,200 or 1,500 questions.
To
Odd.
1200 to 1500 questions I would have solved. I think your
Hmm.
question bank contains about 3000 questions plus.
Right. 3,000 plus. So did you got an
Yeah.
opportunity to solve the mock papers entirely before the exam?
No, I did. No, I haven't solved a single mock test paper before the
Right.
exam.
Right. Right. Now,
It was because of time.
when you're preparing, okay, so did you felt in during the entire journey, okay, from September or primarily CFA also, where you
Mhm.
there was any sense that okay, I shouldn't have gone for two exams together, or a lot of, because you also have work, right, and you also have to manage
Yeah, yeah,
that plus the study. Any time where you felt that okay, there's no time today, I cannot study, so because of work pressure, was
yeah.
such
Okay,
situation?
I would say, not in the month of September and October, but then when as November was approaching and you are closer to your exam, then you
Right.
start realizing ki, shit, I would have, or there would have been at least a 2 week space between
Hmm.
FRM and CFA. It was only a 7 day difference between
Yes.
CFA, FRM and exam. So so that pressure of CFA was was having a impact on my FRM examination as well, because somewhere down
Hmm.
the line at the back of my mind it was playing even though I will post my FRM examination, I would still need a couple of days for rejuvenation, and after that only I'll pick up my CFA exam, CFA curriculum again for
Right.
revision, right? So
But the gap was very less for you. Yes,
yeah,
7 days.
so the gap was very less for me. But yes, I mean prior to the exam, till the month of October, I didn't realize that I've taken a wrong decision. But in
Hmm.
the month of November, it appeared to me, at times, there should have been at least a 15 days gap, right? But then I thought, you need to plan it accordingly. Why not go for FRM for the last only for the last 15 days, and CFA will think it at a later stage. I
Okay.
mean, let's
So
first go for yeah,
So basically, you were able to complete one reading of the entire content and solve around
yeah,
1500 questions, no mock papers. And primarily, you got some help because of the CFA background and also some of because of your work related part, right?
yeah,
Now,
sure, yeah.
if I tell you what happened on the day of the exam, the FRM
Mhm,
exam, how was your 4 hour?
mhm. Okay, so let me put this way. I found the question paper to be, relatively less bulkier. So
Hmm.
when I say relatively less bulkier, so the caselets which were there, so the questions which were there, now, it was not having any unnecessary text. I mean,
Hmm.
they were very much, very much cut to cut. The question was very cut to cut. I mean, just
Hmm.
basic information, no, no confusing or extra information which will take away a large
Okay.
chunk of your time. Questions were very to the point, straight questions, straight answers. So it was
Okay.
like that. So if I were to calibrate, so I would say, I completed my 90% of the questions, right, with 30
Hmm.
minutes left. So I spent my last 30 minutes solving for 3 4 questions only, right?
Okay.
So the questions that you got stuck in, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think the CBT mode is designed in a manner, right? If one has gone through the subject matter well, right?
Hmm.
I think 3.5 hour is more than enough to I mean, I don't have anything to complain about the time management during the examination,
Okay,
right?
you were able to do it properly. That's basically the spread out
Yeah,
was
yeah,
proper. And did you, out of
yeah,
100 questions, did you find any? Can you bifurcate? Say, for example, this much question were easy, or this much question
yeah,
where I
yeah,
had to review. Can you give us that
yeah.
bifurcation for your case?
Okay, so yeah, okay, so while again I will put a caveat. This might this might be a little subjective, uh,
Hmm.
but then I found 50% of the questions to be easily crackable,
Hmm.
right? And 25% of the questions needed a couple of times, reading of the question again, right? And the balance 25% of the questions needed a little more, thought. So in terms of difficulty level, I would say 50% was quite okay. 25% text level of difficulty, and the balance 25%
Okay.
the final level of difficulty. But still, if I look at the overall package of let's say 100 questions, I think it's doable, there was nothing surprise sort of an element ki, कि अरे, what this has come, I mean, this is completely out of whack, how can they make
Hmm.
such questions? So I mean, there was no surprises as such, right? I mean, if I'm not able to solve a particular question, that was purely because of my incompetency or my lesser knowledge into that particular module, right? But
Okay.
the
Okay.
student who have gone through that module, I think it would be a cakewalk for them to solve for that question.
Right. Right.
So, so,
But
so, so obviously the questions were designed in a manner which will test your concept, right?
right.
But if you have, but if you have, prepared it properly,
Hmm.
I don't see, the questions were challenging enough, and
Okay.
people
Okay.
should complain about the questions ki, अरे question paper was very hard, very tough. ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते.
Okay. Now, two more questions. So you solved the question bank. Did that help you in the exam because you were able to see, okay, something similar, or the difficulty level was almost similar? Was that
Mhm.
happening?
Okay, so I would say, if I would not have resorted to a question bank, I would not have cleared the FRM examination,
Okay.
because I think practice was very much key. And
Hmm.
even though I have gone through the book, right? So while I was solving the question bank of an intelligent, right, I was getting, my strike rate was like close to about 40%, 60% questions I was getting wrong, right, while solving for it,
Okay.
right? So when I was getting wrong, it does mean there was some lack of understanding, right?
Hmm.
Or the questions usually get trickier during the examination time, right?
Hmm.
So it helped me a lot in committing silly mistakes, or in committing mistakes which most of the students end up doing in the examination hall, right?
Okay.
So from that perspective, I think solving question bank is very critical, even though you have read the subject twice, thrice, but then there is still, scope of lots of tricks in the questions which might come in, and till the time you solve it, you won't be able to understand those
That's correct. That's correct. And
those tricks.
one more question. So primarily, a lot of people, a lot of students also said that there were questions where two options were quite tricky. So did you found such questions in the exam?
Uh, yes, there were. I mean, the options were closer. Let's say in
Hmm.
numerical problems, some of the options were closer, no doubt about it, right? Even though you tend to make a, smart guess, right? Ki this number is completely out of whack, so this is not the option,
Hmm.
right? But then if you look at the other two numbers, those two numbers are so closer that you have to make a guess then,
Right.
right? So if
Right.
there
Right.
are so if there are three options, you can easily, rule out one option. But then out of the two options, then it becomes a little challenging, because if the, options are very closer, let's say 17.45 or 17.55. Let's say there are three options:
Got
17.45,
it. Got it.
17.45, and 25.5. So you can rule out 25.5, doing some logic or some back of the envelope calculation. But
Basically,
then,
the institute wants you to do that entire calculation or know the logic
entire
behind it.
calculation.
That's correct. So, how many
Yeah.
questions do you think out of 100 were of that nature for you in the exam?
Not much of them. I would say, close to about 10 to 12 questions would be like of that nature.
Okay, and
It was
very
not
one
like that,
10
yeah.
to 12 questions. So, very one important question. So, is when you read the Swagger content, okay, you have
Hmm.
referred to Swagger only, right? And you've been able to
Yeah, I
clear
yeah
clear
I
the
have
exam.
yeah I have referred to Swagger. However, in few
Hmm.
of the topics wherein I felt, you know I was not grasping the subject well, then in
Right,
those topics, I have referred GAP material as well,
right, right, right.
especially in the quantitative method subject.
Right. So generally, I also tell students that go for Swagger first. And if there is a time, there are a lot of things to do because
Yeah,
people have heard about Bionic Turtle question bank also, which is very good
yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of the
yeah.
content. So, but the
Mhm.
point is, if you're not able to solve the basic question bank, you will not be able to pick that up. So
Yeah, yeah,
first,
yeah,
complete the base level, and from that perspective, Swagger does a very good job in terms of summarizing and giving you the idea. Obviously,
yeah,
since it is not the golden source, it will
yeah,
not be the exact part, right? But wonderful. I mean, see, so the 4 hour experience that you had, I mean, you already had CFA level one experience till then, and that was 10 years back. So,
yeah, yeah,
did you found any gap that, okay, after 10 year, I'm coming for a specific exam, which is
yeah,
of this
yeah.
kind of nature? Was there any experience of that kind?
Yeah, yeah. So initially, uh, yeah. initially I felt a little discomfort, so it wasn't, I mean, the first question the first question I read it for 5 times, to because it was a CBT mode also,
Hmm.
right? So, so getting attuned to that, test environment, right? It takes a little bit of time. So once you are, through 4 5 questions, right, then your confidence builds up and you get accustomed to that environment and you start solving. So,
Right.
the key is that now, just find out few easy questions in the first 15 minutes, which are your strength areas. Like there are many,
Hmm.
there are many concepts which get tested, right? So just pick the easier ones first, right? So that if you are, solving 4 5 questions, easier ones first, that give a big fillip to your confidence. And after that, it becomes easier for, for one to, crack the tougher nuts also, right? So, and but if I'm stuck with, let's say, few tough questions in the initial, my confidence will go for a toss, and I will not be able to concentrate on the easier ones.
I
So
agree.
what I did,
Hmm.
the first 2 questions I got completely stuck because I was not able to concentrate,
Okay.
right? But then I thought, why not pick up the easier ones? I solved 3 4 easier ones, and then, I mean, I kept solving the remaining questions. So
Okay. So basically, so that was a good point, because what happens is a lot of students, okay, when they prepare heavily for the exam and they don't get one or two questions in between, it actually breaks their morale. And they feel,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I've
yeah,
put in so much hours, so much time. Why am I not able to solve? So the exam
yeah,
is designed in such a way that it will have 20, 30 questions that they are not expecting you to solve, or it is quite
yeah,
difficult.
right,
It is
yeah,
time
yeah,
consuming. So
time
you will
consuming.
be able to avoid. So question selection is very, very important in your exam, right? So
True.
wonderful.
And
I mean, this, yeah,
and
please, please.
one more thing I wanted to add. I mean, it's related to CFA. So,
Hmm,
so for CFA, the way caselet was designed, every caselet was having 4 questions pertaining to a particular topic,
hmm.
right? So in most of the caselets, I found the first 2 questions to be easy and the last two
Yes.
questions to be tough, right?
Yes.
So my CFA exam results, right? If I see, right, so in 4 of the topics, I have got exactly 50%, right? So that's
Okay.
what it is. So the question is designed in a manner wherein 2 of the questions were easy actually in that case, right? And 2 of the questions were tough. And this is how,
Got
I
it.
mean,
Hmm.
this is how I have observed the question paper. I mean, people may
So
have
they
a
create
different
it in a
view.
such a way that it's a mix of easy and difficult from the topic, from books, so
Yeah,
that they can test you on variety of things, and it should not be only easy for a particular book.
yeah, yeah. That's it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Now, when the result came in and your now CFA level 2 is out, what has been the reaction of people around you, family members, friend? So these are two
Okay.
difficult exams, right?
Yeah. Both are difficult exams, and clearing both, in a span of 1 week was something. I mean, really kudos to me. I mean, that's what I've been receiving. So I informed my, the leadership team in my organization.
Hmm.
So, so so the celebration is still due in the organization because of COVID scenario.
Right.
But then I'm sure we'll have a small celebration, cutting a cake, because whenever someone clears any professional examination, right? So a small bit of celebration that is being done. But yes, now people even, I mean, see, I mean, you work in an organization, right? And let's
Hmm.
say there are 90 people in my divisions, right? So let's suppose, 2/3 of them relates to you very closely, right? But once you have some achievement in place, it's not like that, okay, before that I didn't had any achievement of my life. But then once you have a little one more feather, attached to your to your kind of achievement list, right? Then it becomes a
Hmm.
little more easier to connect with people, and in
Right.
fact more people try to, establish connect with you. so
Right.
so so that's how it is. And ours is an organization which is, FRM and CFA heavy organization, largely
Hmm.
because we are into different business lines in terms of we have a dedicated institutional equity research team also in a
Hmm.
separate division. So institutional equity research team, I think most of the team members are CFA and FRM, right? So you tend to connect with them a little more closer,
Right.
getting congratulation messages from all, from all corners. right? It is really kind of a bliss feeling
Okay.
which comes in, and obviously the family will be happy. I mean,
Right.
because most of my family members was thinking कि चलो ठीक है, दो नहीं तो एक में हो जाओ, तो I mean it's okay. And thankfully in my case, I mean, having worked for 15 years now, so I mean, once you are financially independent, right? So that pressure is not here. I'm not accountable for my
Hmm.
finances, to my, because so it's like I am earning my money, I'm spending on CFA, I'm spending on my FRM, right?
Right.
So that pressure is not there, right? So believe me, 3 4 days prior to my FRM exam, there was a point, I was thinking, Arey, just leave it, yeah. I mean, it's a matter of another $1,000 or whatever, 700 $800. Just leave it. Why not appear for the next
Exam
schedule?
later. Yes. I think so. This comes in
Exactly.
everybody's journey. That
Yeah, yeah,
lowest point where you feel कि अरे यार
yeah.
छोड़ दो मतलब let's do it.
हाँ, छोड़ दो. Yeah, but then I thought कि but then I thought, कि I've put in effort in the month of September, October, and November, right? It's a matter of just 3 4 days. Why not just push yourself for
Hmm.
3 4 more days and just just get it off from your from your list, that okay, now
Right.
FRM is also
And
coming.
one more small question. So if somebody is coming to you now and asking you 3 tips to how should I clear FRM level 1, what would be
Hmm.
those 3 tips from your side?
Okay, so the first tip is that while I did complete through a self-paced environment learning on my own through Surger books, but I would strongly recommend to go for an online course or a
Okay.
recorded session course, recorded video session course, because it is imperative to learning. It is the spirit of learning things,
Hmm.
right? So you will get the learning in full spirit if your objective is to learn the subjects well
Right.
and thoroughly, which will help you in in putting the concepts practically in a corporate world. Then in
Mm.
that case one should definitely go for classroom coaching, right? That helps a lot. and
Okay.
uh, uh, and one cannot go for a classroom coaching 2 months prior to the examination, so just plan it beforehand. That is
Right.
one thing. And second thing, buy a fresh diary. I mean, buy a fresh notebook, because it happens sometimes that people have the idea of scribbling in some books, again scribbling in some other copy, again scribbling in some other copy. So have a small snippet note for yourself,
Mm.
right? Which will while the institute where you will be taking the examination, they will serve you with notes and everything, right? But every individual is individual in its own sense, right? So it's always better to write something, making notes of yourself, because again it's a little psychological behavior, right?
Mhm.
If you listen to someone, right, things gets retained, right? But if you write certain important concept, just scribbling it, right, on a piece of notebook,
Got it.
right?
So you'll have
So
some pointers available for you in the future, and
yeah,
that will in a
some pointers,
book.
yeah.
Yes.
and and those concepts rest in your brain. And
Mm.
third, while this is very subjective to me, but then I found it to be very, use different color pens, right? This is
Okay.
completely different. Don't use completely blue pen. You are studying through blue pen, or
Hmm.
use different color pens. I mean, it will keep you lively and more colorful while studying. Sometimes you are scribbling, you are using a green pen, sometimes you're using a pink pen, right? So it
Got
has
it.
its
Got
own
it. So you are
psychological
able to
impact, but then
bifurcate
it helps.
difficult, easy concept into in your books also
Yeah,
when you write.
yeah. In my books also.
Now that's
So
a very good point because lot of people, even I don't do it in that way, but it's a very good
hmm,
approach to highlight in a different color so that when you revise,
yeah,
you
yeah,
get to
yeah,
focus on the different things in a very different manner.
yeah. So
Right.
I mean, towards the end of the exam, I mean, it helps you in kind of looking having a second or a third look into those whatever, I mean, red colored or a blue colored, I mean, the way you have coded those color
Hmm.
pens in terms of so that's how. And I think the last the last question, I mean, so the last suggestion would be from my side is that even though you attend the lectures, even though you have read the book twice, thrice, 4 times, but then solving question paper is very, very important.
Right.
Uh, I mean, I mean, you, go through the material ones. If you're having a time crunch, go through
Mm.
the material ones. That will be fine, but solve the questions,
Yes.
right? Going through the material thrice or four times, but not solving the question will not yield the right results. That's what I feel, that solving question,
Mm.
practicing more and more question is something which is a key in, in understanding the concepts also,
Right.
and in learning the concepts well, and in retaining the concepts also well.
Right. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Abhishek. I mean, this entire discussion is going to be very, very fruitful for people who are working professional primarily, who will look at this interview, who would look at your journey, and especially with 15 years of experience, uh, managing your work, managing the preparation for CFA level 2, and also FRM level 1 is not easy. And you have been able to do that and clear both the exams, right, in the first attempt. So definitely this is going to be a very, very motivational journey for people to watch and people to learn from it, and how you were able to manage. And see, a lot of time people just give excuses, but I have job, but it is there for everybody. So
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and there are people. So ultimately, I also tell this to my student: जिसको जो करना है, वो करके ही रहता है.
Mhm. वो करके ही
Ultimately,
रहता है, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it is that if you want to do something,
Attitude.
yes, it makes very different, very, very different approach. That you, if you want to do something, you'll do it any which ways, right? So you have been able to do it, and I'm really, really happy for that. And you're setting examples for people not only in your organization but also outside, that you can clear these difficult exam in one go, right? So thank you very much, Abhishek, for taking out your time and giving out your journey information. That's really going to be helpful for the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ganesh, for the generous words. Thank you so much.